In my last video, we looked at if we don't plan now for 2015 to be a successful year, the chances are it's just going to be yet another mediocre year, or worse still, it's going to be a really bad year. But we also saw that by planning now, we can make 2015 our best year in property ever. But how do we do that in practice? What does that actually mean? Well, I'd suggest that there's a simple 5-step process which we could follow, which goes something like this. Firstly, we decide what we really want. Then we set goals to achieve what we really want. Then we make a plan to achieve those goals. Then we take vigorous and persistent action on that plan. And then we regularly review our progress and we tweak along the way to make sure that we achieve what we're trying to achieve. And I know that sounds very simple, which in principle it is, but it's also very, very powerful. And if we follow this plan, then the chances are that we can achieve much more than we even realise is possible right now. But the bad news is that very few people actually follow this plan, and if they do, they usually get it wrong or don't do it very well. For example, take deciding what we really want. How many people actually know what they really want? Well, you'd think that they do, but actually, quite often we don't. I meet a lot of people in property who say that they want to be successful in property, or they want to get into property, or they want to buy a few properties, or they want a few properties to help them with their pension later. But it's all a bit vague. They don't really know what it is they want to achieve. They've just got this vague idea that doing property is a good thing. Perhaps they saw a television programme, or perhaps they've read the headlines in the Daily Mail or the Daily Express or whatever it happens to be, but they haven't really honed down what it is they're trying to achieve. And I do have some sympathy with that, because unless you're experienced in property, particularly if you're a beginner, it's hard to know exactly what you can achieve from property and what property can give you. A lot of the evidence is very anecdotal and we haven't experienced it for ourselves. So, interestingly, I meet many people who get into property without really knowing what it is they want to achieve, and so accordingly they drift. So determining and deciding what you want to achieve is a crucial starting point, which is obviously why it's number one in the plan. But assuming we can get past that and we do know what we want, what then? Well, then there's the whole process of goal setting, which again can be problematic, because even if we form precise financial goals which we want to achieve, and even if we can articulate those financially, it's very difficult to then go on to articulate them in property terms, particularly if we're not that experienced in property. So I've refined the process, and I've included this step in my home study course and resource, which is called How to Have Your Best Year in Property Ever, which I'll tell you about in a later video. But as we set goals, and as I get more experience in this process, I realise that success isn't just down to setting goals, it's about the quality of the goals that we set. And by the way, please don't switch off just because I've started talking about goal setting. I know that goal setting is covered in a lot of material elsewhere, and it can seem a bit old hat, but if you think about it this way, probably 95% or even 99% of all successful people do set goals and follow a goal setting process. And that's even if they don't actually consciously know they're doing it. I read somewhere and heard somewhere that as human beings we are actually goal setting and goal seeking organisms, and it's a perfectly natural thing to do, and we often do it without really thinking about it. So if it's good for successful people, then surely it's got to be good for us. So in the next video we're going to look at 6 things that we can do to make sure that our goals are really, really powerful, and to make sure that they really will help us to achieve the things that we want to achieve. So I hope you're going to come on this journey with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and we'll look at 6 powerful ways to set our goals to make sure that 2015 is our most successful year in property ever. See you then.